It says connecting streaming software.
It should be connecting now.
Okay.
And then it's saying that it's connected inside the Facebook group as well.
All right. Should be good.
We should be good. Welcome, everybody, to Scaling Lean's Daily Live, the Daily RevUp. This is episode 7. You have me, Nina Brennan, and Jonathan Poransky, co-founders of Scaling Lean. And if you haven't tuned in, every day we just go live with the ins and outs of what's working in the online space and how you can get started, whether you're in the creation phase, the launch phase, the growth phase, or more. So that being said, JP, I'm going to pass the mic over to you, and we can dive right in.
Yeah. Welcome to the RevUp, everyone. Super excited on this Wednesday morning. And we got some awesome topics for you today. I know yesterday we spoke about just staying focused on one thing and how powerful that was, because we've noticed and observed hundreds of business owners, including ourselves, that have a tendency of doing a lot of things and expecting a result. But in reality, when you just focus and double down on one thing, that's when you truly achieve success. So if you didn't catch the last one, check out episode 6. And yeah, let's hop in, Nina.
Yeah, so typically we just rip here, but JP, I know a lot of people were talking about mindset this morning and the mindset of just staying consistent and having a daily and weekly routine in order to pop in to your schedule so you can follow it. And I know that a lot of times what happens is people they put together a schedule and then they don't follow it. So let's talk a little bit about discipline in terms of entrepreneurship and how having a disciplined focus can actually save you a lot of time and money in the long run.
Yeah, discipline. I mean, if you follow any major online guru or successful athlete, who comes to mind every time I hear this, Nina, for some reason, is Mike Tyson, because the guy, I feel like he is one of the most disciplined, just based on his background, and that's just my personal belief. He came from a really rough childhood, became a very successful boxer, went through different struggles with drugs and stuff like that, but he still prevailed every single time and grew and grew and grew. And he attributes all of it to discipline. And like he had stories with Muhammad Ali and how he learned all of that through the art of war and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely a through line that I would say we've noticed and have been students of the game with for many years in order to achieve success, right? So, why don't we talk a little bit about some of the tools that we've used? Would probably be a good place to go, right?
Yeah, so the reason that I bring this up solely is yesterday I saw a comment inside of our school community. I posted about doing the 75 hard back in 2021 and how it completely changed my life for the better, right? So that same year was the first time that I found real success in business, going from zero to $650,000 cash collected in just a 12-month span. And that wouldn't have been possible without the tenacity and grit and discipline and focus that I've learned from the 75 hard. And the comment was like, I don't believe in like, and the whole caption, I should say, bring back to this post, like the caption was like, lock in for 6 months, change your life. And a comment that I saw was actually, I don't believe in like this grit and grind mentality. I don't think that it should be so hard push in order to get to where you want to go. It should be flow and ease. I'm kind of chopping the comment. But it actually made me sit down and think about it because I don't even want to break down like men and women how we like operate differently. But I feel like you, being that you were a former pro professional cyclist or semi-professional cyclist, have the same mindset that the more you lock in, the more flow and ease actually comes into your life. And that's what I learned from the 75 hard. And like I played soccer for 22 years of my life. I played through college, and finding flow was something that was really the only place I ever found it before this was on the field. And it was like putting in reps. And when I was doing the 75 hard, because of the discipline of staying in my lane, of working out twice a day and eating the way that I was eating and being intentional with the food and the people that I was surrounding myself with and the way that I was spending my time, everything else became easy because yeses became so easy to say yes to, and no's also became so easy to say no to. So when I protected my energy and I was mindful through this entire process, flow and ease actually came into my life like this. And also as a woman, being the man and woman and masculine and feminine, like I was so inside of my feminine energy for the majority of time that when I had to ebb and flow into my masculine, it was very easy to do so because it was like, okay, like I had time to be soft and in ease and in flow. but I also knew when to like focus and be disciplined because I was so trained to do so. And I want you to talk a little bit about this, JP, because I know with the levels of success that you had with cycling and business also, it's like there's a lot of discipline that came into that. And I want to hear your story behind that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as far as the athletic side, it is really divided in three categories in my thought process, Nina, right? It's like physical, personal, and professional.
Yes.
Um, all of them need to be disciplined in order to build the machine, I guess you'd say, right? And when my mind does go back to times on the bike when I don't know if any of y'all have ever watched pro cycling or even researched it, but I think it's one of the hardest sports in the entire world because you have to maintain your power to weight ratio, which means you have to keep yourself building, like your muscles need to grow and you need to condition yourself throughout the season, but you also have to really pay close attention to your weight, right? And you need to be disciplined in the things you eat and how long you sleep and like all those little micro chasms that you were talking about, Nina, there, they really multiply very quickly. And I just remember during those phases when I was locked in, as you say, um, I just remember feeling so beat down. But I knew that what I was building was going to get me to the place that I wanted to go. Um, and for those of you that maybe haven't been athletes at that level or haven't worked out physically to that level before, even you don't have to really be an athlete. It's just about working out. What happens inside of that cycle is you break the body down so much that you basically, when you go into rest, it creates this massive overcompensation, which makes you feel literally like Superman or Superwoman, right? And it was really cool to learn that in early phases of my life because I feel that I really took that and used that inside of business, inside of my 9 to 5, and all the different aspects of my life to really understand what it really took to get to that next level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel oftentimes we set these limits and boundaries on ourselves, whether that's physically, personally, or even what we eat and consume, that we don't fully estimate and understand how deep that we can actually go, or what's actually needed inside of that success journey in order to achieve that next level, right? And transcend into that new version of self. And I also observed in my life where, I got to this new level of success and then, I hit that new limit and then basically I broke it all down again, because I overtrained in some cases, or just different things happened personally, and it all ebbed and flowed, which was also a really cool thing to learn early on because life is an ecosystem, like you're talking about, Nina. Like you do have to take care of yourself and stay balanced. And if you just keep going in discipline and like keep chasing and chasing and chasing and don't look within and figure out what truly it takes to not only like go where you want and like what you truly want and stay disciplined behind it, like you're just going to burn out and then break yourself down and kind of wind back up at square one in some cases.
Yeah. And I loved your story there because it really taps into like the mental, the physical, and even just like it just everything spiritual as well. Because I feel like when I'm present, and same with you probably, it's like the more present you bring yourself, and for us, it's like God is like our thing that we're spiritually connected to, or person, or I guess it's a thing, right? God's a thing. So that's what we're connected to. And the more that we're present and the more that we're disciplined and the more that we're focused, the closer I personally am to God. And that's like a spiritual sound. And I just want to put it there that it's like the ease and the flow that comes from this discipline. It doesn't mean that you're hard all the time. So I feel like a lot of people have this like rigid thought behind like discipline and focus. But discipline is really just like being mindful and being on top of your habits and your standards. And realistically, the better that I function in my personal life and my spiritual life, the better the business does. And like you and I are a unit, so the better that your spiritual and your mental focus is and your physical focus is, the better the business also thrives. And that's something that it's like just because there's like this rigidness that's like taught about discipline in the online space, like it is a very like masculine drive of how discipline is taught. It doesn't always have to be the case. There's different ways to like move your body and be disciplined. One of my ways to find discipline is through fasting. And fasting is just like you can't really do anything because like you're in a state of fast, right? and like you don't want to strain your body too much. But it's just like being mindful and intention, because like I notice when I'm not in my quote unquote state of discipline, I'll like go to the fridge like 5 to 7 times a day, open it up and just like grab something and put it in my body. And like the way to stay disciplined is through fasting, is through working out, just through mindful walks in the morning, is through just sitting and scheduling your time on the calendar. And I feel like it doesn't have to be so like, and I'm speaking from a woman's perspective because it is like very masculine way to approach it. Discipline doesn't only have to be masculine, it could also be feminine. So I also love that analogy that we learned from Alessia and Nico about like the cup and the water of masculine and feminine, of like solid structures and liquid inside. And I would love for you to tell a little bit about that if you know what I'm talking about.
I don't actually remember that as vividly as you do.
Okay, so I'll tell it. So the whole idea that we're talking about here, and I'm getting a little woo-woo with like masculine and feminine and discipline, is like one cannot exist without the other. So it's like if you're looking at this cup and there's water inside of the cup, like you can't fill yourself with like as your thirst, right? Without the water in the cup. But the water wouldn't be so easy to consume without the masculine structure holding the liquid, which is the feminine. And I say this is because like one does not work without the other. And inside of this like disciplined like mind or disciplined thought of discipline, it's like you have to approach it from both like a masculine and feminine.
Makes total sense. Yeah, where my mind goes with discipline too is I used to view it as black and white. Like I'm either in or I'm out, meaning like I'm going to train super hard and that's the only thing I'm going to do. Which, as we know, just gets you back to square one quicker. What I learned the hard way is just focusing on getting 1% better every day, right? And the way I learned how to really process that and gain that momentum is just really very small habit changes, like plotting out the day before or only doing a 30-minute workout instead of a 45-minute workout, or incorporating water, like drinking water into my day. And yeah, you can pick on me for the way I say water. But just these little micro habits and thinking about them in 2-week windows, and expanding the time horizon. So it wasn't like I'm going to go do 60 push-ups, 60 miles on my bike, drink 50 grams of protein, and completely transform my entire diet, personality, and everything like in the next 7 days. It's more of like looking at the purpose behind what we're doing and determining this is something that I want to be disciplined in to achieve. And then setting a time horizon and working back from that time horizon and focusing on just getting 1% better every day. And then also giving yourself grace if you do slip up a little bit, right? Because we're all humans. We're all humans. Like there's nothing wrong with making a mistake and going to the fridge and eating that little bit of extra. Now I'm not saying like do have to be disciplined, but don't just break yourself down, and because you're going to wind up just going back completely, in most cases, back to that habit entire cycle, then building and building and building towards that new version of you.
Yeah, I just want to bring it here. So the whole idea behind this talk is discipline actually brings out intentionality in your life, right? And I feel like when you approach life, business, spirituality, mentality, physicality, your physical, I don't know the word for that, you actually bring so much intention into everything that you do. And when you are mindful and when you are present, it makes decisions a lot easier to make. You operate better as a human. So it's like you're making conscious choices on a daily basis, saying yes to certain things, saying no to certain things. And I had to learn this the hard way. So one of the reasons that I moved down to Mexico in 2021 is because I needed to just like uproot my environment, right? I had to like leave everything that I've ever known. I cut off everybody even my family, like I didn't talk to them for 2 months just so I could get in the state of discipline. And when I was doing the 75 hard, my mom actually said to me, she was like, we don't talk anymore. Like, I know you're on this like journey, but like we used to sit down and have coffee almost every single day. We used to call each other and have like 2-hour conversations. And she respected those boundaries that I set during this momentum, because I personally had to like change everything in order to get into a state of intention. But when I entered out of the state of discipline and into the state of intention, I was able to go back to like my roots of where I was from. And every time I go back to New York too, with this new developed mindset of mindfulness and presence. And when you approach life like this, everything from business to social events to connecting with other people, it just gets better because you're aware of your surroundings. You're aware of the being that you are. And I know that we're getting woo woo, but like it's the truth.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the biggest reasons we brought this up also is we've just noticed that some of the experts that we've been working with that are having this cycle of not being able to monetize their expertise, all amazing people, amazing qualities, skills, and they have deep purpose in what they're doing as well. They're just having a hard time really getting that momentum and that discipline laid out. So we're trying to just bring more awareness of like what that looks like, right? It doesn't have to be this, 0 to 1,000 sprint in 30 days. It should be looked at as a 28-day windows. I'm going to make this one change or two changes and then, see what the feedback is and then continue forward and make another adjustment. And then that's going to get another result. And then it's just going to be stacking those bricks over the next 30, 60, 90 days. And we work with all types of business owners from wholesaling, personal development, finance, and it's the same in all their niches too. Like whenever someone makes the decision to buy into their products, like we focus on that initial 90-day window because that's when transformation really happens. It's when you either decide to make that change inside of yourself and you lean into your community and you lean into the things and resources that the person's providing you that's a couple steps ahead of you. And that's how you get moving and you get the result that you desire. So that's one of the big reasons we brought this up today.
Yeah. And you can start small. And that's what we're encouraging here is just write down whatever it is that you want to change. So if it is like something in business, it's like, great. Like, how are you approaching your business on a daily basis? What are you doing? Something small every single day to drive revenue, to drive awareness, to put your brand out there, etc. If it is like you want to be more disciplined by losing weight, right? Write down what you're eating on a daily basis. If you want to build muscle, like this is everything that people do on a daily basis when they're hitting their goals, us included. It's like I track what I consume. We track everything in business. I track how often I go to the gym. I track how often I'm reading my Bible. I track how often I read because then I look back and I have like data in my life personally of like this human operating system, I guess we can say, of like, okay, if I'm feeling a little weak minded today, this is probably why. Or this week is like, this is probably why. If I feel more gratitude and gratefulness and just, I guess, joy, because like discipline brings a lot of joy into my life because I'm able to like be present with whatever that I'm doing and I feel gratefulness and gratitude in my heart. And it's because I was so like I look back, I'm like, oh, we achieved so much this week. Oh, like I've been able to XYZ this week. I feel good because I was just like present with what I'm doing. So I just encourage start small with like one thing, write it down. If it's for business, because a lot of people here watching this is business, it's like, what can you do on a daily basis that you can track that can make you feel good and more disciplined in the route that you're pursuing, which is obviously business at the end of the day.
100%, Nina. So with that being said, I'm pretty sure we can conclude today. We'll pop on tomorrow again for the daily rev up. We're hosting these Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday every single week, giving you insights on how to monetize your expertise, the things that are happening inside of our 4 Weeks to Profit community, bringing them forward to help you hit that next level of achievement. Real quick, we did decide to be launching our next cohort session, which will be starting on the 15th of September. It'll be a 4-day live session where we talk about how to incorporate our 3C's business model, how to monetize your expertise without building things that don't sell, and then ultimately how to build an ascension plan to hit your first 10, 20, 30, even 100K a month, depending on what your vision and purpose is that you're headed towards. With that being said, I don't have anything else. You want to say any last words?
We'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. MST.